Was that an applause? Well, listen, thank you guys very much for being here. There aren't many drawbacks to this incredible auditorium theater that was built several years ago, except for the fact that when we invite fewer people like we have today, we seem sort of cavernous. But I hope you'll be able to hear us, and listen, congratulations to you guys. You need to be thanked because you've been dragging yourselves out all week because the adults in your life really want to be a part of all this. They want to be here celebrating with you your fine work over so many years. For some of you, 14 years. 14-year club folks, would you mind just raising your hand? Thank you, and congratulations to you. That is some feat. We have alumni with us. How nice. We have parents and alumni with us. Ladies, thank you very much for being here. I think there are some gentlemen who are here, alumni as well. Thank you. Your names were just mentioned to me a minute ago. Folks, I'm really going to be speaking to the kids. And again, I want to thank you for dragging yourselves out over so many invitations to celebrate you at ceremonies and receptions. We can't help ourselves. We think the world of you. This has been spoken about among faculty and staff and parents and everyone who's known the school to be a very special class. The class of 2017 is very special. We care a great deal about you. You've done terrific things, not only in the classroom, but specifically in the classroom, but on the athletic fields and courts and in extracurricular activities and clubs. You represent leadership from A to Z in all kinds of organizations here at school. We're thrilled about the colleges and universities who've embraced you and the ones you've decided to choose among many. How nice for you, how wonderful you, how exceptional for us that we could be a part of that process for you as you grew all the way up to young adults and sit here with us this evening. You know, you spoke at baccalaureate in a very incredible way. I don't know that you know that, and I don't know if it's easy for you to see life through an older adult's eyes because you are young and you're in the moment. You're living your life right now, just step by step, moment to moment. You spoke so appreciatively of your parents for having known that this opportunity would be the best one for you. For some families, it's an economic challenge. For other families, it isn't, but it's a challenge in other ways to have their kids at such an expensive, tuition-driven school in the area, but that is so highly academic and so rigorous and asks so much of you, and for whom accountability is so high. We really expect your parents, your teachers, the administration, the community who knows Benjamin expects great things from you. And when those ads go in the paper and we talk about where you're off to which college or university, that expectation is high as well. So we so appreciate all of your hard work. But I really appreciate the fact that you appreciate that you've been given the opportunity, and that's really a theme for me. So I'm going to see if I can encapsulate my point, and it's going to be over before it begins. But I think it's important for you to leave with this idea, with the experience that you've had in some sort of an encapsulated fashion where you can look back at the Benjamin School, your experience at a fine independent school, and say, wait a minute, that was a turning point, that was a threshold, that was really necessary for me to be who I am and for me to see myself in a particular way. So aside from the rigorous and preparatory academics, which you will know about, the uniquely gifted and caring teachers, whom we all know, the athletic opportunities and all the other extracurricular programs that enhance your experience here, there is one other important advantage that may not have yet occurred to you, and that's my theme. I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if a lot of our faculty know this, and I don't know if a lot of our alumni actually know this, but when you graduate from the Benjamin School, you're graduating within 1 to 2%. Just 1 to 2% of all students in the country who are graduating from an NAIS school, the National Association of Independent Schools. How many graduates today have heard of NAIS? You know, it's really important for you to know about NAIS because you're graduating from a very important member school of the National Association of Independent Schools. How many are they? What's their count? They're about 1 to 2% of all high schools in the country. So, yes, you are that special, and yes, your advantages are that unique, having graduated from the Benjamin School and one of so few NAIS schools in the country. You're not graduating from high school, is a point that I really wanted to make. Rather, you are moving into a society of independent school alumni with whom you will have a whole lot in common throughout your lives. Specifically, regarding you and yourself and the folks that you're graduating with, you'll continue to be associated with the alumni of your class from this point forward. Doesn't happen in other kinds of schools. You'll be aware of each other's successes and progression through life. And already today, you'll be hearing from an accomplished alumna of your school with whom you have a whole lot in common, although you don't know it. She knows that she has a whole lot in common with you. You've had some of the same teachers, experienced many of the same traditions, and you will carry through life many of the same advantages. Right now, I'm going to introduce someone else who's going to be important to you in that journey, who's been in this seat, who's been in your place a few years ago. I will introduce someone who will be of growing importance to you as you become a more seasoned independent school alum of the Benjamin School. And her name is Miss Jenna Smith, and she's Alumni Relations Manager. Congratulations. We're going to drag you in one more time tomorrow morning and then one more time tomorrow evening, and that's all we will ask of you. From that point on, you will be asking a great deal of yourselves. Thank you, my friends.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming. Congratulations. I know this is the most exciting time of your life. I'm Jenna Smith. I graduated in 2007 from here, so moving forward, anything that you guys need, I will be your main resource for job connections, to meet with other alumni, or anything in general. So I am here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but just so you know who I am, I'm Jenna Smith, and I'm going to introduce to you Matt Brannon, who is our Alumni Council President.
Good morning. How are you guys doing this morning? Good. All right. Well, thank you again to Jenna. Jenna has not only been an alumna of our school, but she works tirelessly behind the scenes. And so you were obviously getting ready to transition from a student at the school here to be a part of our alumni community. And you will no doubt be in contact with Jenna. She's an incredible resource and an incredible person all around. So if you need anything as you go about your next journey and take those next steps, please reach out to Jenna. We're lucky to have her here at the school. We're also lucky to have several other alumni with us. Our Chief Development Officer, Juan Carlos Van Hool, is an alumnus of the school. We have Marty Lottman, who does everything with marketing and communications. She is alumnus and alumnus, I should say. I always mess this whole thing up, and Mr. Bulgorp is going to give me a hard time about this. I apologize. But also Jesse Payton, who's our Director of Marketing as well, Ryan Smith, our Athletic Director, and this just goes on. And so it's really a great I think tribute to the school to have so many people that have graduated here, that have been impacted by their time here at the Benjamin School, that have chosen to come back and return to the community and to support it. So that's been a wonderful thing. I have to tell you, I was watching a video of some of you guys jump in the senior lake jump, and was watching that, and I'm just kind of amazed with all the chemicals and everything in there that maybe that's where the other like 20 of you are this morning, but you know, go boldly. That was awesome. Some of you were just eyes deep and just drinking in all the water. That was pretty impressive, I have to say. We didn't have that tradition when I was here, but I probably would have been there right with you. But as Jenna was saying, due to voter fraud and some absentee ballots, I am the president of the Benjamin Alumni Association and the Alumni Council. We have some council members that are here with us this morning, and I just wanted to say thank you for them. They're wearing name tags, and so if you see them around, they volunteer their time. All of them are taking out of their busy schedules to further and to advance the Alumni Association. And so I hope that you will introduce yourselves to them, and that you will be doing that. This morning, I've actually been out of Benjamin for 14 years, as long as I was here at Benjamin. Kind of hit me this morning as I was driving over here, listening to Welcome to the Jungle on Spotify. Is that still a thing? I hope that's still a thing. Do you guys do that? Okay. So I had it on Spotify on repeat, and I had to turn it off because it went off in my pocket out there in the outside. But we are excited to have you here this morning. There are people in this room that are going to Harvard, There are many of you that are going to be doctors. There are people that will become attorneys to turn around and sue those doctors. And so it's just an exciting time. We have people going to Harvard. We have people going to the University of Florida. And people that didn't get into the University of Florida, they're going to Florida State. Go Gators. So just wanted to say that. Back in second grade, sorry, I was told to behave this year and then I haven't. Back in second grade, I got in trouble for passing notes to our distinguished alumna this year. And I've just been, if I remember, a girl in our class shaved her eyebrows off, like OFF off, like shaving off. And so Whitney and I were passing notes back and forth about that. And so I gave her a note this morning and passed her a note and told her how proud we are of her and how far she's come and to be with us again this morning. Without any further ado, I want to introduce a very special lady who you know and love, Mrs. de Toronto. And before Mrs. DiToronto speaks, I want to just briefly tell you about this award. Every year we honor one alumnus of the school. In the past we've had Congress people, we had an Olympic gold swimmer. Last year we had producers from The Voice, we've had people that have produced movies, and there are just unbelievable people that have become before. And so it truly is an honor every year that we select someone out of about 2,500 alumni in the community. And so I want to thank Whitney's family for being here. This morning, Judge Cunningham couldn't join us, but it's wonderful to see Mr. Cunningham and the entire family. And so without any further ado, here is Miss D.
I'm not going to talk extemporaneously, even though both Whitney and Matt were in my speech and debate class. That's why they do so well. And Malcolm Cunningham actually came and gave my seniors tips on how to put Hamlet on trial. So good afternoon again. I have the honor of introducing your distinguished alumni recipient this year, Whitney Cunningham. Sometimes there's that one student that stands out, and Whitney was one for me. She was and is one of my all-time favorite students. But just so you know, any of you come up here, I'd say the same thing about you, most likely. Whitney was in one of my 3 classes. She was in both freshman and senior English and in debate. What amazed me about Whitney in high school was her ability to juggle so many things at once. Along with a rigorous course schedule, she was an instrumental member of the basketball team. They went to state championship 3 years. That's a first in TBS history. She also created the race club, which Matt was a part of. It's similar to Diversity Club, except with Whitney. We had meetings every month. We had guest speakers. She broadened our horizons of the world through the race club. But one of my most favorite memories of Whitney from those 4 years on the other campus was the reading of The Color Purple. She was almost finished with the novel, so I left the classroom and I came back in. When she flipped to the last page, I said, "Whitney, are you done?" And she said, "I'm crying." And that was the reaction I was looking for, because that's what happened to me when I read The Color Purple. So while Whitney is strong, smart, dedicated, above all, she's got heart. I'm so proud of her, but I'm also proud of all of you. Enjoy your distinguished alumni this year, Whitney Cunningham. She was a leader then, she's a leader now. Listen carefully, and if I were you, I would take notes. I'd write this all down. Love you, Whitney.
Jenna Smith will join me back on stage, and Ms. D, don't go anywhere. We're going to have you present the award. So if you will, please join me in welcoming Whitney Cunningham, our 2017 Distinguished Alumni. right, so this time I believe we have a short introductory video of Whitney's accomplishments. And before we actually play that, I just want to tell you that one of the things that I love about Whitney's story and her journey is that life kind of has a tendency to unfold like a map. And Whitney went from one thing here, being a star athlete at the school. She parlayed that into an Ivy League education. From there, she parlayed that into a career in entertainment. Now what she's doing in the big city and for brands is just really unremarkable. And so you have, it's really remarkable, I should say, but you have an unbelievable opportunity to hear from somebody that's really amazing. So Whitney, thanks again, and check out this video.
I'm Whitney Cunningham, a 2003 graduate of the Benjamin School. My gosh, I can't believe that was 14 years ago. It feels like it was just yesterday. You know, that feeling of wondering what I was going to become after the Benjamin School.
Whitney Cunningham has signed to play at Dartmouth.
What was my life going to be after it? It was kind of invigorating. And I thank Benjamin for that, for unleashing me to not fear what I would become, but for giving me the courage and the foundation to create it. Never could I have imagined that my life would have unfolded like it has to this point. I guess that's the funny thing about life. You never know. But with the courage and the foundation to create it, the unknown can be beautifully limitless. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Well, to Mr. Goldberg, esteemed headmaster, to Jenna Smith, my angel in coordinating this incredible honor, to Matt Brannon. Where's Matt? There he is in the back. Matt Brannon, Alumni Council President and my dear, dear friend since the second grade. To Mrs. DiDoranto, my difference maker. To my family here today, and my mom and brother who I'm sure are watching on live stream, to my Benjamin School family, and of course you, seniors, thank you for entrusting me with this incredible award. This is quite the acknowledgement, and I'm quite overwhelmed to be standing here in front of you today. Seniors, you've come far, and you have a lot to be proud of. It's been 14 years, like Matt said. We were in the same class. It's been 14 years since I graduated from the Benjamin School, which means that I was a senior when some of you were starting your Benjamin journey as preschoolers. So that's kind of crazy. Time flies, doesn't it? But I started at Benjamin in the first grade, and there's this memory that stands out to me so much from Mrs. Brawley's first grade class. We were working on an independent exercise, and we were learning how to use commas. And I became obsessed with them. It's the weirdest thing, but where to put them, how to use them, how a person, place, or thing could become so much more complete when there were multiple elements linked to describe them. Commas gave a subject the right to be more than one thing. I love that. So at the end of that exercise, when it came time for us to write a sentence using commas that described ourselves, I felt empowered because I wasn't some, 6-year-old genius of self-actualization or anything like that. But I realized, as simple as it was in that moment, that Whitney was no longer just a girl. I realized that I could now describe myself with this whole comma thing. That I actually had the tools to accurately depict who I was. And now, ironically, I don't really remember how I described myself in that moment and in that exercise, but I have a pretty good idea, because although what I am has evolved over the years, I trust that the genuine core of who I am is still very similar to my 6-year-old self. I had the chance to come to campus on Tuesday and catch up with some of my old teachers. And I asked about you seniors. And from Dr. Taylor to Mrs. DiDoranto to Mr. Anderson to Mrs. Tahara, what they all said about you guys is that you're kind, that is who you are. And believe it or not, that makes you different. Because a lot of people in the world aren't kind. So I encourage you to take that torch of kindness into the world. Light other people's paths with it. Clear out the darkness with it. Who you are is kind. So be that now and be that in the future. People like you are in high demand. The world needs you. The world needs your kindness. I learned pretty early that who you are and what you are two completely different things. You might be a singer, that's what you are. And people might have their opinions about you as a singer. You might even be unsure about your abilities as a true singer. But I'm reminded of this little girl who might be out there among you, or might be a year younger than you, but she was the baby sister of my basketball teammate back in high school. And whenever this little girl entered the gym, you knew she was there. Man, did she have presence. This 3-year-old child just commanded the attention of the gym all the time. So I saw this little girl on Benjamin's Facebook page, and she was singing her heart out to a Nina Simone song, and it gave me joy because she figured it out. Kaylin was embracing who she was, a person who, since she was a toddler, had known how to naturally captivate the attention of the room, which led her to understand what she was. An incredibly talented artist. There she is. Hey, Kaylin. But it's really by discovering who you are first. What makes you wonderful, unique, and different at your core that you can better understand what you are second. So as you guys struggle with this question, we've all asked ourselves in your shoes, what do I want to be when I grow up? Whether you know the answer or not, because some of you may, and some of you may not, I would encourage you to instead ask the question, who do I want to be when I grow up? And here's why. I was in 2nd grade, and I was on the merry-go-round on the lower school playground, and all of a sudden I hear, shouting that I knew was coming towards me. Hey, Brownie! Hey, Brownie, are you a brownie? Sounds so childish and so silly. But, I knew this kid had a rep for ruffling people's feathers, and that didn't really bother me, but there was something about this comment that really felt different. In that moment, something about me felt different. My ignorance was no longer bliss. It was clear that what I was to him was different. It was a blindsiding feeling to learn at 7 years old that the color of my skin, something that I knew had nothing to do with who I was seen by somebody as what I was. I never really knew all the details, but I knew it felt like that kid was in a lot of trouble. And in a simple act of advocacy, the Benjamin School changed my life. They protected who I was and made it very clear that what I was, different, black, had no factor in determining who I was. And this is why what you are will always come second to who you are. What you are can be misunderstood and even debased. Some people won't get what you are. Your parents might not even get what you are. You might not even know what you are. But as you move forward in life, if you remember who you are first, kind, a natural captivator, someone obsessed with linking things and giving them meaning, like my crazy obsession with commas, I promise you guys that it will lead you to discover what you want to be when you grow up, or even better, who you want to be when you grow up. So if I'm telling you that discovering who you are is the key, right? And understanding what you are, what you want to be, and understanding who you are happens by uncovering what makes you different, what makes you unique. So when you guys go to college next year, you don't want to be different, do you? You want to make sure you fit in, right? So I'm different, right? And discovering it, like I did when I was 7 years old, it's like this really weird feeling. So you become all super aware of yourself and your environment and your interactions, and it's a weird feeling because nobody wants to be labeled different, right? You want to be like everybody else, right? Be the status quo, blend in. But allow me to tell you a little bit about the arch enemy of blending in, and that is reality TV. It is like the most extreme version in every situation of people doing their best to try not to blend in, to try to be different, to try to make themselves stand out. I was a junior at Dartmouth when I first applied for America's Next Top Model Cycle 7. And I remember being so excited about this being like the craziest off-term, that's what we call it at Dartmouth, but the craziest off-term internship experience. And, I was daydreaming about how cool it would be that if I, who was, pretty relatable and normal, a person who completely was just pretty much like everybody else outside of a few of my differences, I thought to myself, maybe that would be so strange to reality TV. The fact that I was normal, because everybody else was clawing to try to be something that they were not. So I just decided to be who I was. I didn't make it, cycle 7. I don't know how many of you knew that, but applied, didn't make it, and I went back to Dartmouth my senior fall. So, I am standing there in the stadium of Dartmouth's, the football stadium at the football game, only a few weeks into my senior year, with the roars of the football game in the background and the voice of America's Next Top Model's casting director on my cell phone. I was freaking out. She says, "Tyra remembers you." Tyra remembers me? I was a normal girl that you guys didn't want last season. Why does she remember me? She told me that Tyra wanted me to be a contestant on Cycle 8 of America's Next Top Model, and I could bypass the audition rounds if I was prepared to come out to Los Angeles. So I'm thinking in my head, oh my gosh, it worked, right? I was just my normal self, but being that was different enough for reality TV. How crazy is that? So it was enough to earn me this spot on this show. It was ironic. And so while all the other girls were like fighting to figure out, to prove how nuts they were, I was able to stay true to myself, quite frankly, and still stand out among 15,000 girls across the country. So I take pride in the fact that I went on to Top Model knowing who I was, having the foundation to know who I was. My parents sacrificed so much for me, and to blow that on trying to become someone I was not on a reality TV show was not what I was about to do. Y'all, college is gonna feel like a reality TV show at some times. Like seriously, it's gonna get nuts in college. You are going to go through so many ups and downs, but you have got to figure out the way to maintain who you are and don't get altered by what you are or what other people are telling you you are. So, as you guys go on to the next phase of your lives, just remember that there are a lot of people who are watching you. You might not have the eyeballs of, a reality television show audience on you, but trust me, people are watching you. And that's the funny thing about life, how it links. How there's meaning in places that you never even thought there might be meaning. My first job after America's Next Top Model at Bad Boy Entertainment, working for Sean Diddy Combs. When I got that job as the marketing assistant, I found out later, after I had been hired, that the hiring manager and the HR director hadn't really taken a look at my resume. They said, "We already knew who you were." That was enough for us. A couple months later, they finally did take a look at my resume and I got a promotion. So, as you look to create the balance in your life, as you look to figure out what makes you different, who you are, and allow that to lead you to what you are and what you want to be, don't be afraid of what makes you different, because that's the best part about you. My life has been a really interesting intricately woven series of experiences that all connect to each other. None of the experiences that you have or are going to have in the future will be happenstance, and trust me on that. So act accordingly, seniors. Use your kindness as your torch. Go out and be different, because that is who you are. That's what makes you fabulous, and that's what's going to lead you on your road of discovering what you are. So thank you very much.
If you will, just join me one more time and just briefly thanking Whitney for being here this morning from New York. Whitney, it struck me as you were sharing this morning, and I kind of alluded to this before you got up, but what my charge would be to you is that take those chances. Go to take the internship, study abroad, ask the girl out. She'll say no repeatedly if it's, like me. But take those chances. The thing that I love about Whitney's story, people talk about luck, and then people say, well, luck is really where preparation meets opportunity. And Whitney committed herself. She worked hard. She worked hard in athletics. She worked hard in the classroom. She worked hard in every single opportunity that she had. And I think she'll be the first to tell you that one opportunity leads to another opportunity. And so take those chances. You've been in this incredible environment that you probably really don't appreciate until you leave it. I know I didn't until you look back and you're sitting in your classes and you're prepared by the teachers and by the academics that you've had here at the Benjamin School. But just be grateful for the time that you've had at Benjamin, and I hope that you reflect upon it fondly. I just wanted to briefly introduce the idea of the Alumni Association to you. I know you're thinking, I just want to get through the next 72 hours without getting arrested and get my diploma and get on a plane and get out of here to go wherever you're going. That would be a good advice to do that. But the Alumni Association is about 2,500 members strong every single year. I was in remedial math with Coach Ream, but every single year we seem to be growing when you guys keep graduating. And so I would really encourage you to find a way to connect to us. We're at things like the homecoming game. We have an alumni tent for you where you can come and enjoy some free meals on us. You can come to the holiday party. We have about 300 people every year that come to the holiday party. It is 18 to party, 21 to drink, just to clarify that for the parents in the room. But we would love to see you there at that as well. One of our focuses that we're really shifting to this year is we want to be a resource to you, and we want you to be a resource to the school. And so as we are rolling out, which will be announced next year, and I'll kind of let those details come out, but we are really putting an emphasis on networking, connections, whether that be for job placements, if you're going to a new school or you're transferring. We want to make those Benjamin connections available to you as you go about your next days. And so that's what we've been putting a lot of effort and energy, and we're putting a pretty sizable financial investment in that as well. And so I would really encourage you to take full advantage of that. Before I introduce Shelley, every year I feel like we slight by honoring the 14-year club members. Are there any 15 or 16-year club members that just couldn't hack it academically? No? Nobody's going to claim it? All right. Well, if you are out there and it took you 15 or 16 years, you're going to have a great 6 years in college, and I commend you for sticking with it. So without any further ado, if we can have our Vice President of the Alumni Association, Shelley Casey. Shelley, I won't tell you what year she graduated because she'd be mad at me. But they printed it. It's the class of 1980, before I was born. It's not my fault, Shelley. Sorry. They printed it. But at this time, we'd like to honor those people that have been here and stuck with it for 14 years. We're going to give out some awards to you. And so as Shelley mispronounces your name, if you will please come up and get your award. Thanks.
Yes, and after I call your name, you could please stay up on the stage. We'd like to go ahead and get a shot of all of you, please. And you don't need to wait for your name. If you're in the 14-year club, I'm going to announce your name anyways, but come on up. Kaylin Arnold. Griffin Brocky, Robert Charles, Nicole Faragi, I'm sorry, Bella Gatis, sorry guys, Chris Habib, Maddie Horowitz, Caroline Jacobs, Hannah Jacobs, Rainey Johnson, Jason Judge, Grayson Colley, Jake Kleinfeld, Chris Lytle, Austin Michaels, Chris O'Connor, Joey O'Connor, Katie O'Connor, Kelly O'Leary, Luke Phillips, Brittany Sylvester, Alex Stolman, John Toothman, Abby Wolziak, and Alex Weinstein. Congratulations, you guys.
All right, there are a lot of you guys, so if you could please kind of squeeze in together for Jesse and Marty, that would be much appreciated. If you could make 2 rows, tall people and vertically challenged in the front, that would be great. Like, this is your first task in the real world, just get together. Form 2 rows. Shelly's gonna herd you. So if you're like forming your own row, you're not good. All right, can you guys push it a little bit? Yeah. All right, thanks guys. All right, thank you guys. Hey, we are going to have some awards for you that we will give out to you at the luncheon, so we will come and find you. But thank you so much for sticking with it for 14 years. And if you guys want to grab a seat, we appreciate it. Okay, as everyone is grabbing their seat, I did want to point out a couple things. We do have some alumni that are with us this morning, and we actually have 6 members of your graduating class this year that are actually the children of alumni, which is pretty neat. And so if you think about that, your parents went through the school, and then they turned around and wanted to continue that legacy. And so to Bella and Christine, to Jordan, Kelly, Abby, and Blake, and to all of your parents, some of who are here this morning, it's really a neat thing to continue that legacy here at Benjamin. And so we wanted to thank you to the parents who made that commitment to honor your time here at the school, and thank you to those special graduates. Before we wrap up here, I'm going to introduce the class agents, and these names I'm definitely not going to get right, but every year we select from the class several people that will be kind of the communicating person that is going to reach out to your class. And so as you go above and beyond at your different places, and it stretches you all over the world, we know that some of you will get off of Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever the new, thing that I don't even know about, Snapchat, is. But we are asking you to kind of be the spokespeople for your class. And so if the following people would come up, your 2017 class agents: Christian Kropp, Hannah Jacobs, Barizi Lassier, did I get that right? Jordan Mendelson, Zachary Riano, and Brittany Sylvester. Give a hand to your 2017 class agents. And guys, if you will kind of group in the middle of the stage here, Marty's going to take a quick photo. But thank you for your willingness to be a part of the Alumni Association and to advance it. So they reach out to you and send you a text or tell you to come to the holiday party. Please don't block them on your phones. That would be nice. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Let's hear it for your 2017 class agents. At this time, I'd like to introduce your yearbook editor and co-editor, Katie O'Connor and Kelly O'Leary. Ladies, if you want to come on down. And I believe Mr. Carr is going to touch on these details, but we will be giving out your yearbooks after the luncheon today. So let's hear it for Katie and Kelly as they dedicate this year's yearbook.
Hello. Each year, the senior class votes for a single teacher who has stood out to them and made a noticeable difference in their time here at the upper school. This year, the teacher is no exception, as he is constantly creating a fun environment in the classroom, encouraging constant student involvement, and always showing how much he cares about each individual student. On behalf of the class of 2017, Kelly and I are proud to present this year's yearbook to Coach Ream.
I was wondering why Mrs. Archer said we have coverage for your E class. I said, that's kind of unusual, so that you can attend the alumni function. And I said, well, sure, I'd love to be there. And glad I came. Whitney, so proud of you. Great job. Matt, I didn't know you were such a comedian. Good job, buddy. Class of 2017. Guys are amazing. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's hear it again for Coach Reed. There's not a finer. All the feels. Coach Reed's like one of the few people who can like make me like man cry. It's kind of awkward. So, well deserved, Coach Reed. Before I have Mr. Carr come up, I just wanted to briefly touch on something that I'm sure is going to be highly captivating to all of you. It's called the annual fund. And you're probably getting ready to balance your checking account in college at the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's probably not the real focus right now. How can I write a check and support the Benjamin School financially? But I will tell you this, every year the Benjamin School gives out almost $3 million in financial aid, and so there are just a wide variety of people that benefit from this school. There's a lot of people that operate behind the scenes, not just your school faculty and your administrators who are wonderful, but there are a lot of people behind the scenes that work to make this possible. And so your graduating class, there are people that have sacrificed a lot, families that have sacrificed a lot to put you here at Benjamin. And again, like I said, you're probably not going to appreciate it now, but when you get out into the world and you look back, I hope that you reflect with a heart of gratitude. And as we connect with you, I hope that you'll be open to supporting things, not just to write a check, but that you'll see value in what we're doing, and that you'll see value in your Benjamin Foundation and your Benjamin education. So without anything else, Mr. Carr, if you'd like to come up with some closing remarks, we will get to the food portion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that golf gallery applause. That was very polite. Thank you, Mr. Carr. This is good. Anyway, listen, this is a perfect event, and I'll get to why it was a perfect event in a moment, but this is one of these things that happens to me every week during assembly, and that is someone runs up and says, you got to remember to do this, and then, of course, I start talking, and I don't remember. So, remember this, and that is, you will have, waiting for you in the gym after this lunch, a cool Benjamin bag of alumni-type goodies and your yearbook. So they will be there, so remember after lunch to go and grab those in the gym. They're waiting for you. Now you'll be fixated on that the whole time I'm speaking. But I will not speak long because I know that there is not much between me and lunch for you. And so the reason I think this is a perfect event is because there are a couple of reasons. First one was, and starting with that, was baccalaureate. You guys were spectacular. And what I love about this week, which is kind of an odd week because there's really no structure. We're sitting here in the middle of Benjamin Hall while your peers are figuring out which class to be in, and yet you're still part of the school. It's kind of this very odd time. But baccalaureate was such a perfect event because you all got up and you looked beyond yourselves to thank these people who have supported you. And one of the conversations I've been having over the last couple of weeks with people were folks kind of begging off of APs and wondering what's the point, and really logical questions. And at some point, there was, yeah, well, guess what? There's a policy that says we've got to do that. That's point one. Never fun. The other part of the policy, and why I think today is such a great day, is that you take those APs because you've had opportunities from the folks who are here for 30 plus years, verging on to 40 years, who took APs and who succeeded in APs. And yeah, they might not have really gotten, maybe they got advanced standing, maybe they got nothing where they went, but they took them in good faith, and they're taking that in good faith was their gift to you. And so that helped Benjamin developed the reputation that it has around the nation with the colleges and universities in America. And, you know, to some extent, I got down to it with some of you and just said, listen, this is one of the reasons we do this. And this event today is a perfect example of that, and baccalaureate as well, because as I get older, you know, one of the things that I was not thinking at age 17 or 18 is about giving. It was a lot about getting, there's no doubt about that. And I think as I get older though, you know, this whole idea is you get what you give that's kind of what life boils down to, and what you're getting today. You got an amazing, that was a tour de force of incredible advice, Whitney, and it was delivered so well. And to think, wow, here's someone who was in your seat 14 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark, and just going, this is someone who's seeing the big picture, and she's saying, listen, it is about who you are, and there might be an egocentric piece to that, but it's about how you look and how you can give and how you can make things better. And so, Coach Ream, you're someone who's been doing that for a number of years here, and thank you for being that example. Whitney, thank you for doing that. Thank all the alums who are here, and most of all 2017, class of 2017, this is the last time I get to chat with you, and I know lunch is waiting, but listen, thank you all. You made my first year here a wonderful one, and I salute you guys, and I'm excited about tomorrow. I've loved today, and let's go have lunch. Thank you.